Good people, welcome to FiddleHed Fiddle Lessons. This video is just some practice notes, stuff I've been practicing for about the last 2 months. And I also am gonna, on my blog, Fiddlosophy, post more extensive written notes with tabs and some audio and other stuff. So check that out, follow the link to check that out if you're not already on FiddleHed. And so let's just get started with, well, I've been learning a lot of old time tunes. So here's one that I particularly like called Greasy String. Like, one thing I've been doing a lot with these is playing with the drone and then kind of learning the tune and then exploring with the tune. It's kind of an idea that I've come up with called Fiddle Rags, kind of combining an Indian improvisation approach to fiddle tunes, but not just as a performance, but as a way to practice, something I'm really interested in. And so one thing that I've been practicing that I teach a lot too is just transposing and trying to constantly transpose stuff. So the tune starts on open A, so I'll try to play it down low in the lower octave. And they really both have their own cool quality. So just from a pure enjoyment perspective, it's good to do both. And of course, from a technical perspective, it's very good. Expand your ear, your mind. Do you like that? Expand your mind. So now I left out an important detail, which this fiddle is tuned what's called sawmill tuning. It's like an old time tuning. And so the G is tuned up to A, then D is tuned up to E, and then you still have your regular A and E. So it makes a nice resonant sound, all right? So I'll get to it in a minute, but it also presents certain challenges. I might as well just talk about it now. So the biggest challenge is, for me, the feeling of going from we're just gonna call it the D string, even though it's tuned up to E, going from that to the A string is different now. And so what I would normally play fourth finger on the D string to get the open A, to get the A note, but now I play third finger. The third instead of fourth, okay? So that's really tricky. And so I've been coming up with various exercises to practice that transition. Like, so I'd play it with fingerings, this little phrase, and then with bowing to the next string. If you haven't played in alternate tunings, I'm not sure this will make a ton of sense, but I'm going to try to explain more clearly. So I could either do this phrase with 3-4 on the D string or open 1 on the A string. 3-4 on the D. You can hear that they're the same notes, but this has got a different tone, a different timbre. This is like more clear. This is like kind of more warm. It's subtle difference, but you can hear it, especially like live. So anyhow, I've been playing with these tunes, having a ton of fun, and I also have been recording them and recording different versions and then picking out ideas I like, because I have this idea to do an album of Fiddle Rags. And so this is a little bit beyond just like a practice thing. It's more like a recording thing, but I want to share it with you anyway. And what I've been doing is picking out kind of different ways of doing the tune, like snipping them out and then just pasting them together to see how they sound, going from each one to the other, and then trying to play the whole version. So this is sort of going to be the process I use to make an album. And so it's just in its infant stages, but just sharing it with you because it's a big part of what I'm practicing. All right, and so just been doing a bunch of tunes, like in the Tommy Jarrell style, Cripple Creek, Groundhog, Breaking Up Christmas. I have them all listed on FiddleHed, and then also some Irish tunes, also in the fiddle raga format, like one called Blarney Pilgrim. I've been doing a lot. And I've been trying to add a little old time flair to the Irish tunes I do. Adding double stops, but then even changing the time signature so it's more like a reel. So that's been fun, and I'm thinking about making more of those versions for you guys. And so now I want to move to, I've been doing a ton of scales, but it's all mainly A major pentatonic. And then I've also been doing A minor pentatonic. Which has kind of a bluesy sound. But more of the A major pentatonic. And I've been doing a ton of just trying different melodic variation patterns. So I've got lessons for this on FiddleHed, which are like, but basically I have this system for notating patterns. So here's one that I call 1, 2, 3. It's just basically 1, 2, 3 you play the first 3 notes of the scale, then the next 3 notes, and then so. If you were doing a major scale, it might make more sense to you. I would go open 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. And the same pattern on the pentatonic. So this pattern is called 1, 2, 3. It's basically going up 3 steps, and then you start 1 step higher and go up 3 steps. And so if this is confusing, I've got detailed lessons on it, melodic variation lessons, and so check that out. And I'll put links to that in the practice notes as well. And so I'm just going to briefly do a few of the other patterns. I've done 1, 2, 3, 1, which is a 4-note pattern. And then adding different bowings makes it more challenging, like slur 2, separate 2. All right. Slur 3, slur 3, slur 2. How about that? Kind of gives it a polyrhythmic feel, like do 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 do. All right, you can hear that in a lot of old time music too. I've been doing the 1-3 pattern, and then just making up patterns in a similar way. I've also been doing an 8-note pattern, which is like the whole pentatonic scale. Which brings me to one other huge thing I've been doing is experimenting with the way I orient the pattern. Let me explain that more clearly. So usually when I teach these patterns, we do them the forward direction as we go up the scale. So and so the last step was open 1, 3, 1, and then we'll reverse the pattern when we go down. Hear how it's different? So the pattern now is starting at the top and going back up. So what I've been experimenting with is changing the way I do that, so maybe I play the reverse pattern going up and the forward pattern going down. So that would be like, and then the forward pattern going down. Finally, I've been doing a bunch of like pedal patterns. So these are things where you kind of alternate a note with other, well, keep one note constant while playing other notes. So there I was alternating different notes of the pentatonic scale again, but with the open A, all right? And so that's roughly it with all the scales and with the actual stuff I've been doing. And I just want to throw in a few extra notes about different things and one is that I've been thinking that there's different ways you can test how well you know something. One is to kind of play it really fast. The other is to try out really strange bowings. So at a certain point, like I noticed just there, it started to break down. And you may find that too. And so what's cool about that is that you're getting practice on trying different bowings, but you're also learning where your edge is in the tune, all right? Or the thing, whatever thing you're practicing. So a few other things. I mentioned already that I'm practicing a lot the transition between the D and A string. That's just kind of meditatively doing that a lot. Another thing I've been noticing is that I speed up when practicing. And a lot of my students, you know, one of the things I'm always telling them to do, asking them to do, is to slow down. Because you're going to get it if you slow down. If you just play like just really good tones and slow down. But here we go. I'm not always practicing what I preach. When I play on my own, there's something that happens. I notice that I just start going really fast. There's a driver's ed term for this, which is velocitation. So I think it applies. And velocitation is like when you're on the highway and you're going like 90 when the speed limit's 65 and you didn't even know it because there's no other cars around. So it's the same thing when you're practicing by yourself. You know, you may just not even know what you're doing. And so I've just been kind of curious about that. And one question I have for you is, why does that happen? And I don't know why it happens. I almost looked it up online, and then I decided, no, I'm going to sit with the question and see if an answer comes on its own. Eventually I will look it up and wonder, like, why do we want to speed up? You know, see what other people think. But for now, I'm just kind of like resting in wonder with that question. And so that's pretty much it. And the last thing I wanted to close this kind of video about things I've been practicing, I just want to mention other things outside of music I've been practicing and enjoying as well, which are meditation. I've been doing that for years, but I'm still doing that. Coding. I'm learning how to code with this app on my phone called Grasshopper, and I made it through it's JavaScript. I made it through the first level, and the second level is starting to get really hard. So I'm gonna need to practice more. And then some other things are just basically yoga I'm still doing, and some intermittent fasting, which means you just fast for like 24 hours. And doing that for health, and also it just feels nice. So I don't know if you care about that. I feel like I'm telling you like about my day now. Like, oh yeah, I did laundry and all the machines were broken. Just mundane. No, but I sort of think it's kind of related to know how you can practice an instrument, but then use the things you learn when you practice an instrument to practice other things in life you care about. So on that note, thanks for watching. See you next time. Go to FiddleHed.com for a progressive, step-by-step course outline, color-coded tabs, play-along tracks, sheet music, and much more.
for watching the video. Love you.
Excellent.
And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.